Before I get into the video, I would like to apologize because when I made this, I was very tired. So there's going to be a lot of pauses, breaks, and unwanted mumble jumble, stuff like that. There's going to be a lot of mistakes in here. Hopefully I will correct them all, and I hope you guys learn something when you watch this video. Alright, so I had a good friend ask me how to make this right here. It looks pretty simple, but there can be a lot of complications when it comes to making it. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to do it. So basically, I have this program called Blender. It's a 3D rendering software where you can make all kinds of neat animations. For example, Disney, some of their animated films I've seen where they use this program and they make, like Wreck-It Ralph, for example. They used Blender in order to make the film. So this is the startup screen to Blender, and we're just going to go ahead and delete these two pieces here. Put down a plane, scale it up 8 times. This basically is one of the simple things. So the hardest part about this is it's actually not that hard, but is to understand the physics involved when it comes to this. And it's just I don't know. Once you get into Blender, it can be one of the easiest things to understand. But when you first starting, it can be super complicated and like overly complicated. I know I had a really hard time with it. But basically, you get these two planes set up, and you go over and you tell them, "I want you to be real things." Otherwise, when you have them there, they won't be solidified objects. They'll just be like holograms, for example. So right now, as we added physics to them, they are now solidified objects. Now we are going to start our blocks, which will shatter or fall apart as the animation goes. So we will create one cube. We'll scale it down, let's say half of its size. So this is a relatively small cube. This is not actually what we're going to be working with. We'll just move it right here. So now we add a modifier. Modifiers are things that basically, it's in the name. It modifies the current object. So we're going to make it an array. And an array basically multiplies the object into a bunch of different pieces. So we're going to bring our count up to how many? We'll do 8. 8 looks good. We'll drag that over here. And then we will bring the relative offset to about 1.03. That looks good. You have to separate them by a small amount. We'll do a little bit smaller, so we'll do 1.001. If they're touching, which you can see they're barely separated, if they're touching, then the physics goes crazy and they kind of just an exploding mess. Well, you just gotta separate them by a small amount, and then once you get that set up, you're going to add the same modifier again, except this time we're going to have the relative offset in a different direction. So 0.001. Yeah, that 1.001. And then we're going to count to 8. You can do whatever number you want. It's just the more blocks you have, the longer it takes for it to render. And rendering is basically where it kind of makes a final image. and it pieces together all of the different things that are going on in the scene. So now we're going to set this to 0 again. We're just going to build it high now. So 0.001 is the offset. It's got the count. Okay, I did something wrong. Oh, I see. 1.001. Here we go. And I'm just going to leave it at 5 high. We don't need it super tall. Now we hit physics, add active. This time we're doing active instead of passive like we did with these. Just because when it's passive, that means it stays still. When it's active, that means it's affected by the gravity. Yes, there's gravity in all this. That's something that took me a while to learn. Before I was just doing backgrounds and stuff, but now I learned that you can, do cool animations. Okay, so now that we've got the basic giant block, we will hit apply, and this basically confirms everything. Now I cannot adjust how high it is, how wide it is, and how long it is, etc, etc. Okay, so now we're going to go into edit mode by hitting tab, and then control Alt C, Alt B, no, C. Set origin to geometry. Okay, hold on, I'm doing something wrong. Control Alt Shift C, control origin to geometry. It basically sets the center of mass. That's what I'm trying to say. The center of mass is in the middle of the object, instead of the center of mass being in this area like we had it before. You see that little blue dot there? That is the center of mass for the object. And before it was in that little corner, and that would be bad. So when the ball runs into it, it would basically tumble in that little corner over there. So, alright, so all you have to do is hit P, and then it separates, and we're gonna hit separate by loose parts right here. And it does take some memory, so it's gonna give it a second, but it separates each individual block. So now they're each their own thing. At least they should be. Yeah. You can see they've all got physics and everything as they're green. So now, when we hit play, see, that's an issue. Here, we'll play again. That's pretty cool, although that is really neat. We don't want that. So what we're gonna have to do is set the origin again for each individual one. So we're gonna go all, and then we're gonna deselect these items here. There you go. And then we're gonna hit Control Shift Alt C. Origin to geometry. There we go. Now you got all these little blue dots. That means that they all have their own center of gravity, their own center of mass. So now when we hit play, they're going to stay right there, which is good. We don't want them moving around. Now that we've got that settled, we can add our ball. And our ball, this time I'm going to keep it relatively simple. So it's just going to be a UV sphere, which is kind of you can see it's a low poly sphere. Once you've got your low poly sphere, you can make it as big as you want. I'm going to keep it about this size. And then I'm going to add physics. And we want this ball to roll, so we're going to add active. So now when we hit play, we will see the ball land on the ground. And we will watch it tumble into the rest of the bricks. Oh, that's an issue. It didn't tumble through the bricks. That's because every object has a weight. And so here we must adjust its physics. That way it has a weight. So here we have mass. We're going to set the mass to, I think it's a kilogram each. We're going to set it to 2,000 kilograms, which is a very, very heavy ball. And here you can change the shape of it to be more, to look better. But for the purpose of this video, it's just going to stay convex. So now when we hit play, we have a 1,000 kilogram ball rolling into 1 kilogram bricks. Now we should have a better result. Look at that. It went through the bricks. Alright, now that we've got a scene, now we must adjust the camera in order to look at the scene. So this little blue thing right here, I'll select it. This is our camera. This is what we see during the final result. So when we click 0 on the numpad, we can see what the camera sees. Now we must move the camera to get the desired angle of or whatever you want. So we can move it here, we can rotate it, grab it, move it, whatever you want. You can put it wherever, but I like it here, so I'm just gonna leave it here. That way we see it, the ball come down and hit the bricks. That looks good to me. So if you want to, you can change the colors of everything. So I'm going to change the color of this to, we'll do green. I want this to be the same color, so I'm just going to go hit material 1. You can see the green ball. I'm going to click on that. So now those are the same color. We can change the color of the ball to be, we'll do red, and then we'll change the color of the sky to be something extravagant. We should do it blue sky. How extravagant. So now when we go over to render, you can hit, normally you'd go to 100% on this bar. You're going to drag this all the way to 100%. You're going to keep everything the way you have it, and then you're going to hit animation, render animation. If you want it, before you do this, if you want to see what it looks like without spending all this time in rendering out the whole thing, you hit render picture, that, or F12, and then, oh, look at that. What's the issue? We don't have any lights. So it's a good thing that you do that before you ever, do your final animation. So what we want to do here is create a light. We're going to put a sun in, just drag it right up here, hit F12, and there you go. You got yourself a scene. You can adjust the light wherever you want to get a better image, or if you want to just to see it without hitting any buttons, other than, of course, clicking it, you can go down here to this white circle and hit rendered, and you get a preview of what it looks like. This is your scene in rendered. This would be what it looks like in the finale. So we're just going to go back into solid, move our sun over here. That way, when you look at it through the camera, you see you still see shadows, and it looks nice. Here, we're going to drag it over here. That way, the light is cast towards the ball. That way, you get the shadow on the other side. That didn't turn out too well. We're going to keep adjusting. That's the thing with Blender. You keep adjusting to your heart's desire. Grab that. Rotate it. See what that looks like. Much better. Alright, so now we got contrast. We can see shadows, everything. Now we can hit. Wait. I know what you're thinking. Well, how do I find the video? Okay, so what you need to do is you scroll down on the side and you go to output. And you go to desktop or wherever you want to put the video. And you save it as, let's say, ball of destruction. Whatever you want to save it as. click accept. Now you want to go right here to movie. So you're going to scroll down. It's going to be right underneath output and right where you typed in vol of whatever you typed it as, and then you save it as AVI JPEG, which is MP4. You just put quality all the way at 100%. That's it. Render animation, and I'll show you guys the final result once it renders through all the frames. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and hope this shows you how to make your ball of destruction.